This is Isaac Kotek, Ableton Certified Trainer, and I'm going to talk today about getting your tracks turned into stems so you can share them with other producers for either remix contests or having somebody using a different DAW in collaboration and stuff like that. So on my website, spaquousmusic.com, I did do a very in-depth free PDF on sharing your Ableton live sets. It's all about preparing your live sets to be used in collaboration with other people. And that talks a lot about grouping your stems, saving different parts, freezing tracks to make sure that if you use a third-party VST, they can use it, and so on. Well, in this video, I'm going to talk particularly about bouncing down different parts into audio so that you have multiple audio tracks which somebody else could then use for remix or collaboration. I have this track here. And I have it all laid out. I have it super organized. I'm going to talk a little bit about that, but that this Ableton live set is pretty organized. I have all my different tracks labeled and colored, except for that one. So the first step I would do is actually go through and organize my set. So I'm putting Control R and then just say texture. Right, and then I know where and what my different parts are. Now, you might find that you have tons of different tracks, and it's not best to send someone like 72 different audio tracks for a remix. That's just way too much for them to handle or understand. It will take them hours to kind of figure out where the different parts are going. So you want to narrow this down as much as possible. Me personally, I narrow it down to 8 different stems. And how I'll do that is just thinking in terms of, okay, all these melodies are together, all these textures are together, all these harmonies are together, all the bass are together and printed as one track, and so on. So one thing that really helps with that is groups. So guitar right now, this is a bunch of different tracks within that group. But if I come in here, I'm just going to ungroup this as an example and shrink these. So you can see I have a whole bunch of different guitars. Now, if I right click and say group track, or you can use Control plus G or Command plus G, it's going to group it all together. And I can rename it guitar. I'm just going to recolor it because I'm a little OCD like that. That way, now I have all the guitars in one single track. So if I solo this, it plays all of them. One thing to keep in mind is I'm not sure how or why or when this happens, but I've noticed it once in a while, where sometimes these get into a different output. So sometimes they'll be set to master by accident. Well, that means when you solo the group, you're not going to hear that one. So you want to make sure it's set to group, meaning it sends into that group. Now, once you do that and organize all your groups, preferably by 8, because then it makes it super easy. Just solo it and print it. But sometimes you have things that are a little outside of your normal 8. But all you have to do is select the range on your arrangement view. So let's say it's that long. If I just want to do the intro, I could do that. Or I could go all the way across. Since we're making a stem of an entire track, I'll just select the whole thing. Then I press solo, and I can go to File, Export Audio and Video. Once I'm here, I have a few different options. Well, the first thing is which track are you rendering? You can go to all individual tracks, which is going to print out every single track. The group track, the track itself, the returns, the master, everything. You're going to have tons of files that way. So me personally, I leave it on master, meaning whatever the master is hearing is what is being rendered to audio. Since I've soloed this, I am just hearing that part. And that way I can go through, solo the sections I want, and print it. Also, your bit depth. You want to keep this at 24 or 32. You really don't want 16-bit because it's just going to degrade the quality, especially if they bring it back into live or another DAW. It's going to have to upsample it anyway. So I prefer to use just 24-bit and no dithering. So once you set that, you say export. And I'm just going to create a new folder. Okay, go in there, and then I like to just name it by whatever part it is. So this is guitar. I press save, and it's going to render that part of the audio. Now, like I was saying before, if you had 8 separate groups, all you have to do now is solo a group, render it, solo a group, render it, and then you'll have all 8 done. But sometimes it doesn't quite work like that. A great example of that is I actually always separate my kick from my drums. Just because the way that I do my live set and the things that I've noticed is I like the kick to be separate. So generally what I have to do is I'll have it somewhere in here, and then I will solo the kick and render it. So we already have all of this selected from before, right? So it's going to do that whole area. And I go export. Oh, I didn't actually. Since I'm soloing this and soloing just the kick, it's just going to be the kick. Export. Kick. Once that renders out, what I'm going to do is send that to mute and then render out the drums. Most of the time I actually have the kick as a separate track, and I'll just solo the track. But this gives you an idea, a more advanced use of this technique. And then I can solo out my drums and so on. You can also select multiples, so I can have both of those and export the percussion. There you go. Generally, it takes me about an hour to make stems, maybe a little less. I mean, generally I'm doing it when I'm in transit, like on a train or a plane to a gig or something, and it's just like busy work. Sit there and do that, read a book or listen to music. It's very easy though, and once you have all this separated into your 8 stems, you can then package it up together. Now here's a little pro tip for all you if you're sharing tracks and if you are doing remix albums. It is a good idea to just make a simple little note on the information, like track name, BPM, scale information, and notes. That makes it very easy for them to pick this up, especially if you send this to someone in Logic or something. They don't necessarily know what the BPM is, so you just put 84 here based off that, and then it makes it very easy for them to know what's happening. They will be incredibly grateful, because you got to remember, the easier you make this for people to make a remix of your track, the more likely they're going to make one, and they're going to enjoy it and just send you a better track. If they have to spend an hour or two getting it ready, then that's going to make them a lot less excited. So that's the basics of getting your stems ready for sharing with other musicians. I'm also going to have a PDF that you can download and check out about creating stems within Ableton Live. And along with the sharing tracks, sharing your live sets PDF that I've created off my site, which I'll have links to both of those, you'll have more information than you need to be able to share in any different type of situation with other musicians. So yeah, thanks a lot for checking out this, and check out the other videos on my YouTube and my website, subaquousmusic.com.